All right, man, we're back to give you the juice, man. I know well, I don't think many people saw this movie at all, because, I kind of a phenomenon is going on with this movie. Like critics and fans did seem like they went out of their way to destroy this movie. And, but which baffles me. And I've actually watched some reviews and some things about this. Has been some things has had a point, and some people are just internet pieces of shit that just want to have a show, and so they say whatever everybody else is saying to be popular. Like there's even like some shit going on, like they calling, like they said Marvel has lost it. It's now known as the MCU, and that'll be the last effing
Ooh.
time you'll hear me say that shit on this show because it's bullshit. No, but women are saying this, men are saying this. It's not like just a bunch of like idiot fanboys doing that. I
I
mean,
haven't heard that. That's terrible.
I've seen plenty of women and men, plenty of men, both equally, honestly, saying the same thing. Like, and it's
Fuck you.
it's a shitty thing to say. However, Tifflebot, I will give it this much life. Some of that shit got a point, you know. So I've been looking at how there has been a decline in like a lot of the Marvel things, and it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird because once you start really thinking about superheroes,
Hmm.
it's a very interesting thing. Superheroes were always kind of mainly 80%, probably 90%, little boys thing. We love to put on our capes. We play hero and stuff like that. And so the early Marvel movies, were the old heroes that everybody, knew and loved. Well, and I say everybody because the first Marvel stuff was for the fans, but they grabbed non-fans who became fans,
Hmm.
because of what it is. And they, didn't have much female representation. And then, it's been, gaining more ground with female representation. And then you got like the shitty fanboys that's been like, this is bullshit. This is the man's world. And then, you know, it's just I don't know who Marvel is like really making their movies for anymore. I don't I don't know what fan base they're trying to get, like heavy man, heavy woman, both. You can't have it all. And we all know that. You just can't have it all. And I think they'll probably do their best job by just keeping shit fair, and try to make a good movie without trying to like, trying so hard to do what it is they're doing because some of this shit is just not working. Like Ant-Man made no money. I liked it.
I
Nobody
mean, it
liked it.
stinks.
Right. You said it's thing. I mean, but it could have been better. It could have been better. It could have been a lot better. And then with this movie, you took a pretty unpopular character being Captain Marvel. She came into the MCU like real fans knew who she was, like long-term fans, but most people had to get the chance. They had to know her. They like her origin thing was like, oh, who is this person and what is going on, you know and so you had to get the chance to know her. And her last movie, I don't know, I don't think it did really well, but I mean, it wasn't great, as far as like the fan reception or any fans reception. Then you have these two characters like Monica Rambeau. She was on the Vision and Scarlet Witch show. So most people who probably they don't know her because
Yeah.
they're not watching the TV show. And then you had Kamala, who we love, but most people didn't watch that. And if you didn't watch those shows, you basically kind of filled a movie with a bunch of people that people don't know. And I'm not talking about the actresses. I'm talking about the characters.
Sure.
And even this lady bad guy, that she really didn't make any sense to me. It's like, now you talk about a character who I felt like was forced into the movie, and we'll hit spoilers in a minute. But I kind of felt like her being a female bad guy was kind of forced in the movie because it was, the heroes were female, and it didn't want to seem like men against women. I don't know. It just seemed, what the hell is this?
Oh,
Anyway.
I didn't feel that way.
Oh, okay. We'll get into it.
Yeah.
So let's hit the spoilers, and let's get into the Marvels 2023 PG-13, 1 hour, 45 minutes, action adventure
Hmm.
fantasy. Carol Danvers gets her powers entangled with those of Kamala Khan and Monica Rambeau, forcing them to work together to save the universe. Now, this movie was directed by the first African American director into the Marvel universe. It was supposed to be the lady that what's her name, Duvernay. She was going to direct Black Panther at one time before Coogler, but she came in. It's her first movie, and
Her first MCU movie.
yeah. First movie this big. Let me put it that way.
She did Candyman, the second Candyman. That got the remake.
Yeah, but it wasn't this big.
It did
not
good
this
job.
budget.
I see what you're saying. No.
Yeah.
Nothing like Marvel money, as we know.
Nothing like Marvel money, son. Anyway, so unfortunately, it was a flop, and she'll never probably get an opportunity to do this again, probably just because money makes the world go round, and we all know it. So let's hit them spoiler boiler wallers and oh shit, no, I'm all backwards. It's time for, excuse me.
Goodbye.
I'm over here.
I'm over here. I'm over there. Time for one word. I knew what was happening. One word.
One word, Tim. Very important. I'm very interested.
I thought this movie, my one word is I had fun watching this movie. Fun.
Why is that? Is that because you adore Kamala Khan and she was kind of like the on the ride on this thing? Is that it, or
I
what?
do love Kamala Khan.
I love Kamala Khan too, but
I think what I liked about it was the movie it just goes from the beginning. There's not a lot of downtime. As a matter of fact, I will say I went to the bathroom.
Oh, I had to go so bad at one point.
And when I came back, because I didn't want to go. And I think that's a good sign of a movie, because normally during a Marvel movie, I like to give myself a little break, because it's like, first, I'm bored. Second of all, like, I just get bored during a really long movie sometimes if it's not, like, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
One word?
Fun. But when
really?
I left to go to the bathroom, I came back and I had missed a little bit of a scene that I was upset about missing.
Which scene was that? We already hit spoilers.
When the kittens come out.
Oh, okay. And it okay.
I caught most of it, but I was really excited to see them.
Okay, so
what's your one word?
Yeah. Myth. Yeah.
Lord have mercy, I choked on my spit when you said that.
Even better one word for me would be TV, because this seemed very TV showish, and I kind of really, honestly, not worthy of a theatrical release. And I hate to say that shit, because you know how I feel about my stuff that I should like. I really dislike the antagonist in here. I thought she felt so representation cast to me. Like I could literally see somebody in the boardroom talking about, let's get a black woman antagonist just to keep shit together. And it's like,
I like Zawe Ashton. I really like her.
I don't even know who that woman is.
She's a British actress, yeah.
Yeah, I thought she was terrible, and I thought
really
her character was terrible. I thought I did not like anything involving her in this movie.
I want to speak a little bit about that.
Mm-hmm.
This is the one Marvel movie that's very short, comparatively.
1 hour 45 minutes is what it is.
Normally we had a 2:10.
Yeah. I saw it. That's a point. Yeah.
And so this is maybe one of the Marvel movies that I watched, and I thought it could have used a little expansion in some areas, because we didn't get quite enough time. Her cause, as much as she is a villain, is just. Her world has been destroyed by Captain Marvel, and she's looking to get those things replaced, and she's taking them from people she feels were somehow involved. Okay? I'm not saying every villain has their point of view.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, for sure. And I didn't mind that once you found out damn near when the movie was finished that she was just targeting, which they could have did that for the beginning.
That's what I'm saying. There could have been a little bit more, and I think that there was been a bit more room in the movie if they would have let it be a little longer. And they could have shortened some other stuff up if they wanted to keep it in this time frame.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, I really believe that these writers thought that everybody watched Kamala and everybody watched WandaVision, so there's your background for a whole bunch right there, and we're just gonna.
I think that's a dangerous territory that we're entering into with all of these movies, because when I started watching this movie at the beginning, I was like, am I supposed to like at the beginning of the movie we see the evil characters and she's like finding the bracelet.
Yeah.
And I myself who have seen all the movies was not sure.
If you didn't see him, I would have been kind of lost, I think.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if I was supposed to know exactly what was happening or not, like based on like shows that I might not have seen.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So like I
Yeah.
was like, oh, and I think that that's kind of the feeling that I get when I'm coming into a Marvel movie now, and I'm a person who's I would say obviously a little bit more familiar with than somebody off the street. But if
Yeah.
you're just walking, okay, what I'm gonna say about the Marvels is nobody is going to go to the Marvels if they're not already watching this stuff. It's not
And
like
Tiff, that's some shit because maybe that's the reason why the turnout at the box office was so low. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, to begin with, because it's like you got massive backstory, and people are starting to feel, I think, a lot with Marvel is
fatigue,
that
yeah.
it's so, but no, not
Well,
that
it's just
fatigue,
that there's so much
so
stuff you have to
much
know.
that you have to know
Like,
now,
right.
you know.
Like when you watch, okay, so for instance here, there's and I guess I can see I liked the movie because it was just kind of joyful and fun in a lot of ways for me. And I can sometimes, this is a weird way to categorize a movie. I can sometimes feel like if I'm in a movie theater and I'm not thinking about when I can leave,
Yeah.
it's a hallmark of at least somewhat entertaining movie. And there's been a lot of MCU movies I've watched where I'm like, I can't wait to get out of the theater.
Yeah.
Not a lot. I wouldn't say a lot. Like, but with watching this movie, it's a really scary kind of like corporate. I can see where they're thinking like insidious kind of like you have to have Disney Plus because you have to watch the shows.
Yeah.
And you have to watch the shows so you can understand what's happening in the movies. And then that's just a lot. It would be like, when Star Trek releases all those books.
Yeah.
Imagine if you had to read those, or even Star Wars, like if you had to read all of those to understand what was happening in the movie. You might not have a complete understanding of the whole universe of Star Wars who's maybe read those books, but you can walk into a Star Wars movie and the plot's contained.
Yeah. And except for those last two. So anyway,
we don't have to talk about all the Star Wars.
Here's what's good about this movie. I think first of all, Kamala Khan stole the goddamn show. She's
so charming.
She's so goddamn cute. Charming. She's so cute.
And her family is so cute. You're like, bring the family.
Is so cute.
That's why they brought them. They were like, we know that we have to have more of these people in the movie.
The family was strong. The actresses, they were strong, man. Mm-hmm. Brie Larson and who plays Monica?
Oh, should we do the people? It's Brie Larson. It's Tiona Paris, Iman Vellani, Zawe Ashton, Gary Lewis, Park Si-joon.
Yeah.
Mohan Kapoor, Samuel L. Jackson, of course.
Yeah, so Tiana Paris and Brie Larson, that dynamic, that's the shit that interested me. Kamala being a fangirl the whole time, which never gets annoying. That could get annoying so bad, but it doesn't, and just how Captain Marvel could have been a complete dick, had a couple of moments of dickulism, but came out of it quickly and didn't.
Yeah, there was never too much of that. Yeah,
it wasn't too much of that. Kamala's, fangirl wasn't too much. That dynamic really worked.
I thought all the emotional plot points in this movie worked within the action scenes. I that's why I'm like looking at this movie and I'm thinking I liked it, and I know that just because I like it doesn't mean that it is quote unquote a good movie or that other people should like it. But it's kind of like for me in the Blue Beetle situation where I'm like, it is not so, even if it's bad, it is not so bad that all these people who like these movies would hate it.
Yeah, I'm telling you, the bad guy took me out. The Singing Planet took me to hell.
I could see why that would make people who are not.
I'm like, come on, y'all doing a musical now, man. I mean,
I thought that it was nice. It had made sense and it was kind of cute. And just when I thought this is getting too much, they stopped.
I didn't like it from the beginning. I
think a lot of people, and maybe I'm wrong, but feel kind of awkward when people sing in a movie.
I don't mind shit like that. I really don't. I really don't. I don't mind musicals. I love White Christmas and shit like that. But when I watch this, it just look. This is the big Marvel movie of the year. You know what I'm saying? And I really, want to, see the good stuff happen. Guardians of the Galaxy brought. Oh yeah, you didn't like it, but the world loved it, and for the reasons why I loved it, they loved it. It was how much emotional context it is, how good it was. It was a great damn movie, and this was just it was so much jumping in, smash them, and it was just not enough things to care about. I cared about the three characters. I didn't care that Samuel L. Jackson was there for like one of the first times, and that may be because of that show he did, the Scrolls,
Hmm.
which in hindsight, now that I look at the Scrolls, I did not like it. I liked the first few episodes and stuff, and it had a lot of potential. But then when it came to the dumb scroll on scroll fight at the end, it just was like, what the hell am I looking at? You know, and it's in a different universe. You got worlds at stake here, but it did never feel like it was worlds at stake when I was watching this. And this again, this goddamn bad guy, and her henchmen, I just, I
Um,
didn't. And then here's
so
another thing. One more thing. It seemed like Captain Marvel's powers were so depowered in this movie. How
yeah,
she
that was
was,
a little bit weird.
she was destroying Thanos' ships and shit, flying right through him. And in this one, it was just kind of, she'd get shot and she fall down and I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa! This is Kal-El. This is a Marvel's Kal-El. Why is she getting her ass whooped by like random girl with hammer?
Yeah,
What's the problem here? She should have wiped the floor with that chick in like 5 seconds, dude. And we're in a fight to the death over and over and over. I didn't like it. Even
yeah, I
those
think
guys that she was fighting in the beginning when she was getting all twisted up, she should have murdered those dudes in 2 seconds. And they're
yeah,
doing all this and they got guns and I'm like,
yeah,
this don't make no sense. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I can see what you're saying. My thoughts about this movie are that like I think when people are watching a Marvel movie, they get really used to all of that stuff where like the stuff on the planet probably would have lasted a little bit longer. And I appreciate the concise nature of this film because I understand there was maybe a little bit, there is one thing I will acknowledge is that like I didn't feel a lot of emotional worry in this movie. I had
Not
a
at all.
good time, but
Had a good
you're
time.
right.
You're
I
right. No
wasn't
worry.
concerned that something bad was going to happen. And I think that like,
Especially because it's easy, Tiff, because you could have led that right into any other Marvel movie. Because so shit
and
could have been left in whatever. Go ahead.
okay, so, but like, I do appreciate that they were able to like keep some story in there along with some, I think, really good fighting. I really did enjoy that. I will say that when they were sucking the air out of that one planet, I couldn't help but think of Spaceballs with the giant vacuum. Do you remember that?
Suck.
It's a Spaceballs situation. Um, but I think I think I can understand a little bit what we're saying about the villain. Um, it's just a little bit. It felt a little bit compacted, and I think that the reason why people don't like it is because they're used to a more expansive. Well, and that's not the only reason. There's lots of things that are combining in it that are making it a little bit more difficult for people who wouldn't. It is hard to ask a person to go into a movie that is part of a universe, obviously,
Yeah.
and just accept it as that film.
Yeah.
And I think that that's part of the problem with MCU and this grandiose scheme of things where it just goes and goes and
Yeah.
goes, is that the integrity of the filmmaking process can obviously be affected because
For sure.
you're creating this universe and having to obey these rules. And then after all that you've done, you take this movie and whatever, it might not be your favorite movie you've ever seen or like even something you'd remember forever, but if I saw this movie and I'd never seen any other Marvel movie, or if Marvel didn't exist and this movie existed, it'd be pretty fascinating.
It's a hard, how should I say, trail to follow. I mean,
Yeah, people are comparing you.
well, as they should, because you're asking for my money. I don't think the the Disney show should continue. I mean,
I agree. They gotta stop.
I think they should stop because it becomes too much.
And it
Um,
doesn't, and of course, it
and
doesn't
there's
matter
no
how good
stakes
it
in it.
is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's no stakes in it. Like this happens, and whoop de doo. The biggest stakes that probably happened in any of these was the Captain America one because Sam became Captain America.
right.
You know.
But we knew, we would know that. You don't have to. And the thing about this is, I'm gonna say, so a lot of these characters that have been portrayed on the shows are sometimes more interesting than the characters that we get in the movies. Give them a movie then. Do you know what I mean? We don't need to have
You could have did a Kamala Khan movie. You could have
yeah.
did. Yeah, you
I
could have.
mean, I think the Kamala Khan story does work really well as a television show, and that's fine. But that would be if there was like the Kamala Khan show and like WandaVision and that was it. Do you know what I mean? Like, but there's
Well, yeah, they did bow and arrow dude. They
the
did.
Hawkeye episode, the
I
Loki
did like Moon
stuff.
Knight. I did
Well,
like
I
Moon
mean,
Knight, but it
yeah,
could have been a
Moon Knight,
movie. Moon
but the
Knight could have
thing
been a
about
movie.
Moon
Yeah,
Knight deserves a movie.
yeah, I agree.
Like the thing is that like, and there's nothing wrong with either
Except that
Operation.
stupid ass God fight at the end. Holy shit! It was so stupid. Leaning on the pyramids and they. I'm like, what are y'all doing? This shit was so good.
Don't ruin this for me.
Don't do this.
So like, I sometimes feel like little movies like that. This would be considered what I mean in the grand scheme of the Marvel movie, Marvel Cinematic Universe. You have like these big movies, and then the little movies that kind of connect and support, and then the next one that comes off.
Yeah,
these little movies I think suffer quite a bit because they are trying to either introduce the new that's a heavy burden to bear, even if you don't realize that's what they're doing while you're watching the movie. See, what I was surprised about when I watched it, listen, this is a hallmark of how well I liked the movie. Stayed for the stinger. I waited for the after credits.
That is for you. That's a big goddamn deal. Goodness gracious.
But I was because I was thinking that they were going to talk to Doctor Strange.
Well, no. Obviously, if you know anything about the comics, they have been setting up for a while the Young Avengers, and I don't even know.
I know that.
I don't even know if that's the way to go. I think Marvel need a reboot, man. And I mean, they're only putting out one movie next year.
Oh, you know what I predict?
What's that?
We have all been shitting on DC this whole time.
Yeah.
I think Marvel is about to hit a decline, and DC's going to come out as a surprise.
They haven't yet.
Heavy hitter, not yet, but hasn't
James Gunn
taken over.
His stuff really hasn't.
That's what I'm saying.
The first movie he's actually responsible for is Superman, which ain't been no Superman. Yeah, it's gonna make billions for sure. So yeah, and you might be right. It's time to re-equip because you still actually have the same story going on, and then the way things declined after the last big Thanos thing. Probably should have did a reboot at that point in time.
Mm-hmm. That was the time to do it. It's a perfect time to do it. The blip was the perfect time.
Yeah, for sure.
But instead, they were like blip, and then things went back to. They were like, oh, hey, how's everybody the same people doing?
Yeah, that's true.
Do you know what I mean? And it's like,
I haven't enjoyed that many movies. I didn't. I hated the Black Panther 2 or Wakanda Forever, whatever it was called.
Wakanda Forever, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't. I hated it.
That.
I hated it, but I did love the Guardians of the Galaxy. You hated it. The rest of us loved it.
I know.
And it's getting kind of, I'm not really sure.
I just think this is a hard battle for this particular film to fight at this particular time.
I get it. So let's talk about the controversial stuff with our last couple of minutes here. So I mentioned the stuff I mentioned. How do you feel about, what people are saying about, movies like this being cast for diversity's sake, because that's what people are saying, and it's just like you can't really brush it off as people are just being assholes because it almost appears that way, by the casting and even everything. How do you feel about that? I just like to hear.
Those are the characters. That's what they look like.
No, that's true. That's true. They've never been in a team up like this.
That's okay.
Well, Captain Marvel and Captain Marvel, because Monica Rambeau, she's actually the original Captain Marvel. In the comic books and stuff. They even did like a little trick when she came out with the super suit, and it had the little things.
Yeah, and then she ripped them. I did like that.
That was right, and I was like, oh. I wonder how many people caught that. You know what I'm saying? That was that dumbass outfit she used to have. And with the afro, with the big swashbuckler boots. Stuff. I liked that her hair stayed puffy like back in the 70s. It looked bad on the comics. In the comics it looked bad, but it looked good here.
I just think that people like this is a weird. When we see a superhero group of men, we don't go, well, that's really weird that all these men are together.
But I think the reason, and I'm being
I don't understand what they're saying. Forced.
I think what why that's not strange, because this stuff has literally been written for dudes forever, and it's thrived because dudes love it, and
Sure,
so.
but we can never change that or be appropriate for
Mhm,
people like me
mhm.
who exist in this world as
I'm not,
well. Like,
I'm not
no, no,
saying.
I'm not.
Yeah,
This is
right.
not to you. This is just the
Yeah.
people who are being, "Bleh." But like, that's never going to change or become normal to us unless we start doing it.
But
Because
people
that
people will say,
is,
"Hey, look, these movies have been successful. These comics have been successful doing with the same old formula. Is it necessary to
well,
do?"
that's the thing is that, first of all, stop shitting out the same stuff all the time. It's like, I don't want to eat 75 hamburgers because hamburgers are good. Like, do you know
Mhm.
what I mean? Like, and also, like, if it feels like pandering, that might be an indicator that the rest of it has been too white and too male.
Interesting, interesting, interesting.
So
I don't,
if this
I don't.
if this feels strange to you, you might want to be asking yourself some questions.
Yeah, it makes me wonder. So mostly everyone in this movie is a minority, except for Brie Larson. The bad guys, the good guys, you know, and then I don't know. It's weird. It's weird because, like, when they did the new Avengers and they were all black, what I'm saying? you know, I didn't hear anybody talk too much shit about that comic, but it was only a comic, you know what I'm saying? But it was like Luke Cage, it was
Yeah,
Blue Adam, it was her, it was Monica Rambeau, and it was like, it was good, but it got canceled. But I loved it,
you were
man.
Jew, yeah.
But did I love it because I was a black man, or what I'm saying? But I knew white people who loved it too. It was like,
But
these
when
are
you
great characters, that.
but when you go out and you're not in your secular bubble, and I'm talking about even your friends and
Yeah,
family, when you walk into a room and it's all white people,
that's me every day.
that's a bad room.
That's me every day.
Do you know what I mean? But like, that's just because it's all this. There's a whole lot going on here. Do
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I think
But
people are accusing the movie of just being a big pander.
I understand
Mhm.
that feeling, and I can't speak to all of it because I am obviously not a person of color. But like, as a woman, I
I
don't
mean,
mind
it's
seeing
woman
a
centric. It's
yeah.
more, that's what people are focusing on, not the fact that they're people of
I
color.
don't mind an
It-
all feel that isn't even crossing my mind. Like when I
Mhm.
see them there, I'm like, that's cool. Like I don't understand what the fuck's the problem. I don't understand the problem. Okay. It is not a problem. It is just a movie that exists with this plot.
But that's
That
what
it could,
people are saying. What people are saying is that why I didn't make any goddamn money, because of
because people are
things
just
like
like get
in your
upset.
face.
I
This,
don't know. That seems like a cop out answer for people who don't, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
I don't think it's a simple answer to
Because
this
I
because
think
you
and
know.
a lot of times when I feel like I'm being pandered to, it
Mhm.
doesn't feel natural. Like
Yeah,
I'm like, this doesn't feel natural to me. But
I'm
when I was
looking.
watching this film, it felt natural to me.
I'm looking at the bad guy. I saw on my screen. There's a picture of the lady, the bad guy. I can't remember her name. She was a Ronin or whatever, and she's holding a hammer, and it it does not look natural. It looks like, I don't know where they got this goddamn woman from. Get her out of here. I didn't
But
like the character. I didn't like the actress. I didn't like it at all. I'm sorry.
I mean, like, as far as like there just being that many women, that doesn't like something that I was like, oh, there's a lot of. I didn't even really think about the fact that there was a lot of women in it.
I felt it when I watched this. I was like, damn. So I started looking. I said, well, there's really no male man characters except for then Samuel L. Jackson, popped up. But not that I'm looking for male characters. But I tell you what, when I watched Wakanda Forever, I felt that way. I was like, shit, dude, where's the men? You just
But
had to.
that's the thing is that like, but we often see movies that are just men.
That's true. That's true.
It
But
shouldn't be weird. It should be like, but here's the thing. I understand the ideal is mixed.
yeah, for sure.
Okay.
It's
But
interesting.
in a situation, in my opinion, if they did this and they put a man in there,
Yeah.
that would be worse than pandering because it would be saying, well, we have to do this so people don't get upset.
Well, here you go. This is the
That's
thing.
pandering.
No, but wait a minute. Check this out. Also, I wonder how, if a dude beating the shit out of a bunch of women would have tested well. Like the final fights, like it was a dude like just smacking,
Yeah, it's all there's a
it would have
bunch
been
of
like,
really
oh, what
complicated
is Marvel doing?
situations. It's really weird to talk about this movie because when you look at it and you enjoy it, it's just a simple movie. But it does have all these complex situations happening
It
with
does. It
like
does.
for
Yes.
society, like in society's eyes, as far as just like comments about like how often women are in a movie
Yeah.
and
Interesting.
how many of them there should be in a movie. Do you know what I mean? Like this is an insane conversation. But like okay, I'm not smart enough to make any arguments. I liked this movie. I thought a
Yeah.
lot of it was really charming, and I would like to talk about the scene where the kittens are born and there's not enough space. There's not enough space. This is our, you know what? This is a little bit. There are a lot of Spaceballs sort of references in here.
It was kittens are cute, of course, but
Yes.
when it was, I don't know how I felt about the people running. They're like, ah,
Yeah, they're scared
It
and
was
they're like,
it was
but I
kind of
liked
funny, man. But
I
then it
did
was
enjoy
like,
the intercom voice saying, "Do not run.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You
I
will
mean,
be fine."
it was
And then
okay. It was
they're
okay.
playing a song from the musical Cats
Which
over that scene.
took me out of it. Yeah,
I loved it. I thought it was so funny. I died. But my favorite part of this movie was that it was me and Mike, and then a woman with 7 children.
shit.
And some of the children had their iPads on
Fuck.
during the movie, which I didn't notice most of the time or hardly any at all. But there was like an emotional scene where the next cut was quiet,
Yeah.
and all I heard was 15 seconds of a Lil Nas X song. And we died. I couldn't stop laughing because it was just such a strange and awkward situation, especially the part we heard.
Ladies
That
and
like
gentlemen,
I couldn't stop
if you got kids, do not let them little effers bring electronic
laughing
devices
into the
into movies.
movies.
My daughter, like, I thought she was gonna get us into a fight. Some little kid was down near the front row with a big ass iPad, just glaring. She went down there. It's like, you need to turn it off. I'm like, oh god, we're about to get into a fight. But she was right though. Some
Yeah.
grandmama was in there. It's like you're bringing entertainment to
A movie.
entertainment.
The thing that is that like
Yeah,
I don't believe that kids shouldn't be in movie theaters. I just believe that you have
this
to
is
clock. You have to
this is
clock.
PG-13, so they ain't had a
But you know
business
what?
being in
Every
there.
kids. I watched this movie and I thought it was fine for kids. It depends on your kid's maturity level and all that stuff.
Well, see,
But
I think that's a problem, Tifflebot, because I don't think this movie should. I don't think. What I'm saying is that some of the Marvel movies has been good, and they've really trying to tone down the violence, like as they come
Mhm.
along, which I effing hate. And I don't really think it should be for kids. I think you should be like, oh no, you don't want to take your kids to see that. I mean, it's a great movie, but it's teenagers and above. Little kids should be, it should,
Mhm.
But so if it's okay for a kid to see, then I don't want to be in the same theater.
I get that. But
Yeah,
like,
I don't want to
kids
be at a movie that's okay for a kid to see when
but
I'm
kids
going in there
read
to watch.
comic books.
They do not. They
Yeah, they
do
do.
not. No, they don't. They don't do shit. But with them iPads, that's why they had them in that damn theater with you.
But
They
I
don't
will
read.
say that if your kid can't make it through the movie without
He's
needing
too
something
young for
else to
it.
distract, yeah, you need to get him out of there.
Yeah, go. Don't bring entertainment to entertainment.
Don't. The Montego Society says, "Don't bring entertainment to entertainment."
Indeed. So,
All
man.
right.
So my final thoughts on that is still like, man, this is for television. Yeah, I wish I tried to see it on streaming so bad. I was like, it got to be. It's got to be.
That's why I did. I was looking. I was like, and then the Disney. There's like always that fake one that makes it seem like it is available, and I'm like, fuck you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Maybe I would have liked it better if I would have sat at home and watched it. But that would just my level of investment was just really not there. And it was a few years when like a year ago when they announced this, I was like, yeah. But then, like, I think even hearing some of the reviews, like,
Mhm.
took me out of it. But didn't change my mind on it. I'm too strong in the brain for something like that to happen. But nah, I don't know what's next. They keep delaying everything, so who knows?
Sorry.
I think they need a hard reboot or just need to change the complete direction. Like they got Blade coming out supposedly. I don't know if it's ever going to come out. Apparently that movie was like almost done, and they like went back to the drawing board. Like people like getting in trouble over at Marvel because they starting to look at a lot of this stuff and like this ain't it, y'all.
Yeah.
Blade should be knuckle dragging to the ground. I don't need to see that many special effects. You can like keep the special effects like low with something like Blade. We talking about sword fighting and people hissing and shit.
Yeah, blood,
Right? Like
corn
the
syrup,
original
and
Blade.
red.
Yeah, like we need to see some people getting hurt. Rated R.
Yeah, I
Shit.
agree.
I don't want to see no more PG-13. I'm tired of people getting shot with ray guns, you know, and there's no physical damage other than just laying on the ground. I'm tired of that shit, man. You know, Black Panther. They had a bunch of women walking around with spears, sticking people. Never saw nothing. You just see the jabbing motions, and that's it. You know, so
Yeah.
and then the bodies ain't even no blood on the
Montego
ground.
wants to see some violence.
I do. If I'm watching violence, it should be violent. It doesn't have to be Braveheart, you know.
Sure.
But Jesus, come on, man. Stop trying to make them so kid friendly. You know, those idiots are gonna bring their kids to inappropriate movies anyway. So, so give me what I want. Anyway, man, I'm the host of Fans of Patrol. My name is Montego. Tiff is having a heart attack on the goddamn screen right now. With me is my wonderful co-host, Miss Tifflebot, back from the other side of the galaxy. The universe. Say goodbye to the people, Tiff.
It's been a pleasure as always.
All right, man. And until next week, next week we will be
on patrol.